Hey, it's King of Games here. For those of you that don't know me, for those of you who do know me, it's KLG. I did not write a script for this video because I wanted to speak from the heart, but I'm going to be telling you why you should play Elden Ring PvP. Now, I know there's a lot of elitists out there who have scared a lot of you away. You just want to PvE, you just want to play seamless. But I'm here to tell you that's not the case, and I'm going to tell you how you can completely avoid these elitists, these tryhards as you would call them, completely. Now, I am a above average Elden Ring player. I'm not up there with the elitists or the tryhards or the good players, however you want to describe them. But I'm also not down there with the newcomers or, you know, the average Joes and things like that. I've been playing this game, or the Soul series specifically, Sekiro, Bloodborne, all of it since the dawn of time, since Demon Souls, 2009, I believe. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. I just haven't progressed to the point where I want to be super sweaty or anything like that. But without further ado, I'm going to tell you. Now, there are some caveats to PvP, and I did say I was going to tell you how to avoid the sweats, and that's where we get into the level ranges of PvP. So, there are several you can play at. I mean, you can go anywhere between level 1 and max level, obviously, but I'm going to tell you the brackets that are most active and how to get into them. So, level 90. This is a level if you still want to fight people going through the game. A little easier to play on. I'm not going to get into too much depth with that, but that's basically what it is. If you want to still invade the most areas, those lower level areas, and fight people who are just going through the game, that's fine. 125 to 139, that's the little sweat level, the, you know, try hard level, the main level of difficulty that's just going to be a little extreme for most people getting in. I wouldn't recommend this at all. 168, this is a level where you can comfortably go and play, avoid the entirety of the sweat levels between 129, 139, and 150. Most people finish the game at 150, so even then you'll be fighting in-game people, but you can avoid that entirely once again by going to 168. And here you'll still have a challenge, but you're more than likely not even starting out win the majority of your fights as long as you have a grasp on PvP, which we're going to get to in a minute. And lastly, you can play at 200. This is a free-for-all type of thing. Like, if you just want to go in and have not a single care in the world when you're invading, I would recommend this level to you. But yeah, if you completely want to avoid the sweatier, the try-hard players, I would suggest 168 or 200. And the reason why you avoid them is quite simple. They just have too much pride and ego to play at those higher levels. I'm personally play at the level of the sweats and the tryhards because I want to improve past the state of 168 and 200. I feel like I've gone as far as I could go there. That's my personal choice, but this is about you just getting into PvP and trying PvP, and I don't think ramming your head into the wall is fun. I mean, that's why most people avoid PvP in the first place, because, you know, the elitists, the sweats, the tryhards, which, might I add, are a real minority of the game. I mean, they are the most vocal. That's why you see them everywhere. You know, the threads, the YouTube comments, Discords. They're the most vocal. That's why their voice shines through the most, and it kind of dissuades people from getting into PvP. But all in all, man, you literally just go up in level and you can avoid these guys entirely. They're not going to follow you. They're not going to chase you. It's not going to happen. And you can also play at max level where you never know what you get, a mixed level of everything. So there you go. Now, PvP, player level, we went over that. I have some footnotes, so let's get into the weapons. A lot of people will dissuade you from using whatever weapon you want, you know, say MOONVEIL this or dual spears that. And listen, I'm here to tell you, these are rules that they set for themselves. You brought your game, have fun, man, play it how you want. This is PvP, and unfortunately it's not fun to lose. Now, losing can have benefits. It's a learning experience, of course, but it's not fun. You're going in there to win, so whether you need those things or not are completely up to you. My current build is a mixture of LT buttons, but it also has melee options such as dual wielding straight swords, fist. For range, we have great bow. We have, you know, just a plethora of things we can, you know, make useful. So all in all, build what you want. If you want to go out there with the bleed build and fight, there's these imaginary rules people set are for them. They're more than likely to balance these tournaments that people have in 1v1, and people have had them carry over into PvP aspects, and it's made people want to completely avoid PvP, you know. So all in all, just use what you want. Get whatever you use, though, I will say, get comfortable with. You know, don't just go out there willy-nilly, try something once and say it's bad or it's terrible. You might be using the best thing in the game and not even know it yet because you didn't give it a chance. Like, you never know what you're going to get in these fights and invasions. You know, L2 gaming is a real thing, and a lot of guys can just like press the one button and completely destroy you no matter the skill level. So I will say it doesn't hurt, especially in invasions. I want to reiterate this point. I think anything goes no matter what, unless you're having honorable duels within the Discord, running the ladders and things like that, or agreed upon friends. Then you should adhere to those rule sets. But out in the open, out in the wild, it's really anything goes. And I feel like, especially when you're 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3 outnumbered in invasions, you should take advantage of all the tools you have. I mean, for sure, those guys that are 3v1ing you already have an advantage, and they're not worried about what you think. You know, they're not worried if you have MOONVEIL or Rivers of Blood or dual spears or dual great spears or the meta fist or anything. I mean, they're just trying to get you out the world and end you as quickly as possible, and you should be trying to do the same. The point of invading is to destroy the host and get the win. Now, the last thing I want to say before I get into the actual invasions is that latency. Okay, this is a huge problem, and it really doesn't have anything to do with PvP per se, but I mean, in essence, it is a part of PvP, and it can turn you off from the PvP experience entirely. I've played on console. In fact, I own this game on PS5 and PC, so I can play on either at any time. And yeah, the experience on PC can get a bit buggy and laggy at times, to the point where sometimes you may want to shut the game off. And in these instances, in these extremes, I would say if you run into an extremely laggy player, and this goes for those tryhards and sweats too, they don't go hand in hand, by the way, but I just wanted to make a mention of it. The block function will make it so you never match with these people again. So no matter what, even if you like invaded or 1v2, 1v3, it doesn't matter. Like, the block function is so powerful that, like, if you, let's say a host has you outnumbered and he has a phantom and you destroy that phantom, if you hurried up and blocked the phantom and they tried to resummon him, they wouldn't be able to resummon their friend. So block is very powerful. I mean, I wish there was another method, but just so you don't run into these annoying guys over and over and it ruins your experience, whether it be any form of annoyance, I would suggest you block them. And let's get to that. So, invasions, man. You want to get out there. You want to start. Where do you start? Okay, I would start by having a decent build. Heck, if you got to copy a meta build, you got to use the MOONVEIL. I purposely use MOONVEIL for the entirety of this video. Not saying it's super strong or anything. My main weapon is actually Dark Moon Greatsword. I love that weapon. I have complete montages doing the exact same things you see in this video. But for beginner purposes, I want to show you the differences throughout this video that the MOONVEIL provided. So before, as you could see earlier in the video, you were switching it up. I was just using it as a hard swap. And this is the first thing I wanted to get into about PvP. A lot of people do not care for hard swaps. They do not care for going in the menu and doing that. So I wanted to show, in essence, they actually in essence think it's cheating, and I have no say on the matter. Like, whether you should hard swap or not is not what I want to make the focus of this video. But I get that people just don't want to do it, embrace the immersion form, and I get other people do. They think it adds a layer of skill to the game that is not previously there, and you have a lot of options. But let's say at your disposal, I should say you have a lot of options at your disposal. But let's just say you're getting into PvP. You don't want to be one of those fancy swapping guys. That's completely fine. What you want to do is get a build that can cover most. You're never going to be able to cover everything like the hard swappers will, but you want one that covers most bases. So you want one that's able to chase or punish people who are low, like they're going to heal when they're low. So my current build, let's say I'm not hard swapping. I have a ranged option in Glintstone, Swift Glintstone Shard if I want to finish them off from range. I have Carrion Slicer, which comes out pretty quickly, even though I don't have a lot of cast speed. And I have MOONVEIL L2 if they're at range. So I have long range options. Okay, so high damage options. You want to get people to back up off of you if they're chasing you down. MOONVEIL does that extremely well. What if you want a range high damage option? Well, without hard swapping, I have access to the Cannon of Haima. And close range, I have the Gavel. So all in all, what if I want a fast option? Well, I have an offhand dagger. What if I want, you know, movement speed and evasion? I have Bloodhound Step equipped on the dagger. So you want a variety, and I think my build covers, you know, if I want to proc Frost and get more damage, I use Frost Pots. If I want to, you know, there's a tight room in an encounter, I use Sleep Pots. With this is all without hard swapping, so you just want to get a build. You don't have to use my build. You can use any build that fits these criteria, and then you want to get enough poise and health in order to, you know, tank hits, wear the amount of armor you want, carry the gear you want, and be survivable within the game. Otherwise, you know, you're going to be out there butt naked with a subpar setup. You know, I'm not saying your sword and board setup can't work, but supplement it in case it starts not working. You want options, and this is for soft swap, not hard swap. If you don't know what soft swap is, the difference between it, it's just like not going in your menu. You literally just press left or right on the D-pad and swap your weapon or whatever you have it assigned to. That's called a soft swap. So keep this in mind. You can cover all the bases. You don't have to be some menu try hard. I'm not saying those people are try hards. It's just for lack of a better word. You can cover all those bases on builds. I have a madness build. I have a strength build. I have a dex build. I have all the builds. I just find the int build to be super versatile and fun. Plus I mean, I'm a katana weeb. I'm wearing a magic hat. I mean, I love it. But Dark Moon Greatsword is my base weapon, my favorite weapon. And it's a lot of fun to use, albeit hard to use. So you use whatever works for you, but get a build that works. I cannot stress this enough. Otherwise, you're just going to have a hard time. Now, if you're playing at the 168 and 200 level, even the fun builds can and will work often. I want to stop in the middle of this and say you will encounter the rare cheating glitch. Like if you see my health right now, I'm getting hit with the chainsaw glitch. So these type of people, I know people like want to get people that's lagging and things like that, but I mean, I'm not doing any of that right now. You know, I was playing fair and square and run into a chainsaw glitcher. So I just had to stop and make you aware that those are the type of people I was talking about earlier that you should just block and never interact with again. I mean, dude was straight up about to nuke me with a chainsaw glitch. If you don't know what that is, I don't want to get too far into it, but you're running into actual people using glitches more than you will hackers. I've played on PC and PS5 extensively, so if you're worried about hackers, yeah, I have not ran into but one on PS5, and on PC I haven't ran into any so far. So that's shocking, but yeah, I would say it's few and far between if you're worried about that aspect. But the glitchers, they are there, and there is a difference. Glitch is just exploiting something that's already in the game, and unfortunately people will do that, whether it be for a good reason or a bad reason. I don't want to get into the politics of it, but I would just say I do not like it when it's done to me, and I'll leave it at that. But yeah, what are invasions? Well, invasions are literally what you make them. People just think PvP, yeah, your goal is to go in there and kill the host initially, but once you're in that world, you never know what will happen, and we'll get into the basics of it. So then we'll get into extremes of it. So the basics of it are, You go in, your goal is to kill the host. Sometimes the host phantoms, this is very rare, but sometimes the host phantoms has already died. It's a 1v1. You clean that up, it's really easy. Other times it's a 1v1 where hosts are using Tony's tongue, and we like to call them Toner's tongue, excuse me. But we like to call them bonfire duelists. Now, bonfire duelists are just what it sounds like. Duelists who hang out by the bonfire, aka the Graces, and they want to duel you. Now, these could be a mixed bag. These are you can have the fair ones where people just want fair, uninterrupted duels. You know, they want to destroy invaders, but they want to do it fairly with honor. You know, anything of the sort. And then there's other ones who, you know, couldn't hack it in arena, which is crazy because arena is a mixed bag of zero skill opponents, even at the highest level. I'm sorry to say, but it really is. You'll find tougher combat out in the wild than in the arena, but that's neither here nor there. They'll have an advantage through using the great runes, which either give health or any other amount of, you know, buffs, and they'll be doing everything they can. They've cleared out all the enemies. They just want you, and they want it at an advantage. You'll run into those people in invasions. Now, typically you'll run into an invasion of 2 or 3 or more, and like I said, your main job is to take out the host. Now, how you do this is totally up to you. Most people think it's going in and you just mashing L2 or R1 or R2 or jump attacks and you're just trying to nuke them. But at the base, yes, that may be what it is, but 9 times out of 10 that method is just not going to work for you. These hosts may not be as good as you, or their phantoms may not be as good as you, but they are still players with brains. I mean, I know as much as you hear the elitists say they're mindless, you know, mashing people with subpar intellect, but I mean, they have a semblance of how the game works, and that's really all you need when you have an advantage. So things you can do. Well, as you can see, there's been co-invaders, friendly reds. You can take that how as you want. Sometimes those reds aren't friendly. Sometimes there's, you know, blues that come in to help their host, and you think you've beaten the phantom, but you haven't beaten the phantom. Invasions are a chaotic mess, and it's never going to be the same twice, you know. And things you can do to make invasions easier for you is to isolate them. Isolate the phantoms, the players. You can, you know, use ads and enemies, although those ads and enemies can be used against you. And now we're getting into a whole level of detail you didn't even know was there. You can wait for them. You can set traps. You can turn into a pot. You can turn into a chair. You can hide behind a wall. You can ambush them. You don't have to take every fight head on like you see in these MLG tryhard videos. There's so much variety to it, and I think it's ruined by when you see the sweats and tryhards play. Like, maybe you can't reduce that guy's health bar to 0. Maybe he's better than you, but maybe you can set a trap on a ledge, or, you know, knock him off of a ledge, or lead them into enemies where it's more favorable for you, or it's a 2v1 situation. Maybe the host in the phantom, it was a 3v1 and now it's a 2v2. You kill one of the phantoms and a red comes in that's better than you or just as good as you, and you guys take out the phantom, and now it's 2v1 versus the host, and you guys get that win, you know. Or maybe you've been laying in stealth in wait at a perfect spot for like 20-30 minutes waiting on them to pass, and use rain of arrows or a perfectly timed great bow shot to knock them off of an edge. You know, the element of surprise should be used in PvP always. I mean, in any situation, would you really run head first into a 1v3? I mean, there's also, you know, spawn campers, like the guys that'll wait for you to spawn in, and a lot of people don't know there's spawn invulnerability, so you can use your highest hitting AoE Asher War to completely nuke them all, and it feels great. A lot of people always talk about the bad part of PvP, the tryhards and the sweats and the gatekeeping and things like that, but they never talk about these elements that make invasions and PvP fun. You know, they using the enemies against them. You know, maybe you come in and you think the enemy's on your side, and then they've used one of those feathered branches or whatever they are. They've tamed the enemy and they're on their side. Now they're attacking other enemies and they're attacking you. Albeit this is highly unnecessary, because for some reason, I don't know what it is, enemy aggro in this game completely switches from the host, and the accidental hits on invaders, at least in my experience, is actually crazy. But You can use the environment, you know, you can jump over walls, ledges, parkour to places they can't reach you, and rain down shots upon them with your great bow or Canonheim or your magic build if you're a, you know, caster. Things like this come into play, and it makes things so much more exciting in PvP rather than people just sitting there gatekeeping things. No, you don't have to know how to hard swap. You don't even have to care about hard swap. No, you don't have to chainsaw people. No, you don't have to be a sweaty elitist. And it goes both ways in invasions. You could be the one taking out the invader. A lot of people frown upon these ganks, but without them, a lot of these people would not have content. They would not have invasions. I mean, obviously you need the outnumbered people. I wouldn't even want to play 1v1 invasions. I would leave that to, like, that's what the Coliseum is for, is laddered duels or things like that. Although 1v1s, like I said, in invasions can be exhilarating and fun. I mean, you could just troll and set a trap for the host. Like I said, lead them into a choke point or something where you know there's a lot of enemies and fire away with your hardest hitting MOONVEIL or Blasphemous Blade or anything of the like. You know, that's where the fun comes in, mixing it up, mashing. It doesn't matter if you're playing at 90, 125, 150, 168, 200 max level. It doesn't matter, because the point in the end is just to have fun. That's my opinion. A lot of people don't try to PvP because they're under the mindset that it's just not fun. It's a blatant mess of, you know, toxicity and, you know, nerds trying to gatekeep you and keep you from doing what you want. I would say use what you want, play what you want, play how you want. And if you want to escape that toxicity, I cannot stress this more. Do not play at the meta level and bracket unless you're ready to. There's nothing forcing you to play at 125 to 139 and 150. I mean, literally nothing. All you're going to do is hate PvP, hate the people that play PvP, and go back to PvP. Trust me, I used to be exclusively PvE because of this fact. And then I ganked for a short amount of time. And, you know, I wanted to see it from the other side, its perspective, and that's how I got into invasions. And I was like, oh crap, this is what people are feeling that I'm doing to them. How do I combat this? How did I counter this? You know, trust me, just adding one other person to the mix completely nullifies any skill you've had. You could be the skilled out of both of those guys, but with them covering each other and having each other's backs, it's going to make that fight that much harder for you, but that much more rewarding when you win. So I want to wrap this up by saying I think everyone should give PvP a try, and do not be dissuaded by the tryhards and the sweats. There's a myriad of options, thousands, if not, you know, tens of thousands of builds and ways you can play the game. You could absolutely go into that invasion butt naked with a dagger, roll backstab all of these guys with the right build, and one shot them back to back to back and win it. You can also go in and a completely heavy armor. As you've seen, I was in Bull Ghost. That's not my normal setup, but I wanted to include it in the video to show you that those fights are much easier. And I included the harder fights in the beginning of the video, where I actually had to try to show you that yes, there's degrees of skill to this game, no matter what you do. But all in all, man, I hope I got a lot of more people to try this. The DLC is on the way. Give PvP a go now. Now's the time. If you've never played it, just go in there, spend a whole day or two just invading. 168 preferably to 200 range. Stay out of that sweat range. And yeah, man, just get into it. Have fun. Have some friendly duels with a friend to get warmed up daily and see what comes of it. I want as many people in this DLC and PvP as possible. I will be playing at all the level ranges I mentioned. Besides 200, I don't feel like I need that many stats. And roughly, I seen people going into the DLC at 150-ish range, so I'll be able to connect with them just fine if I play on my invasion builds that I currently have. I just don't feel like making a 200 out of laziness, even though on PC it's easy if you catch my drift. But I just don't want to do it. But yeah, man, I hope to see you guys out there. Hope you gained something from this video. I'm gonna go ahead and get out your hair. It's your boy KLG Ouchie. Peace.